There's a Ramban, Nachmanides writes on a posuk, a verse in Dvarim. Hashem says, Moshe Rabbeinu says to the Jewish people, Mol Hashem es levovcha es vav zarecha. God will circumcise your hearts and the hearts of your children. What exactly is the circumcision of the heart? Circumcision, as we know it, we know what it is. It's removal of a foreskin, an outer foreskin. What exactly is the covering of the heart that Hashem says, I will circumcise your heart and the hearts of your children? So Ramban explains that before Adam ate of the tree of knowledge, whenever we speak about feelings, emotion is the heart. A person has a special heart. A person, God forbid, dies of a broken heart. The heart is the emotion of the person. What we crave, what we aspire to, it's the heart, it's the feeling, it's the emotion. He said, before Adam ate of the tree of knowledge, which represented evil, as it says, it was tree of good and evil, his heart was pure and only desired only to do the will of God. That was the natural desire. That's what it yearned for. Nothing but that. After it ingested the fruit of the tree of knowledge, which represents evil, it began lusting and craving for things which were the antithesis, contrary to spirituality. Sexual drives, lust, ego, self-centered, material acquisition. That happened as a result of material acquisition as an end unto itself. That was a consequence of ingesting the fruit of the tree of knowledge. At the end of time, when Mashiach comes, and all evil will be expunged from existence, and man will live on at that point, the heart at that moment being cleansed of that impurity, which was as a result of the tree of knowledge, will only yearn and crave to only do the will of God. Naturally, it'll be a different reality. So the circumcision of the heart is that covering. There's a blockage. There's something which doesn't allow us to appreciate the value of spirituality, and we see things through a distorted lens. We see darkness as light and light as darkness. That's due to our conflicts, which are so embedded in our emotion and our heart, and that will be cleansed at the end of time. You know, every day, every Shabbos and Yom Tov, before we conclude, before Modim, either the blessing concludes Baruch Atah Hashem B'Kadosh HaShabbos, Baruch Atah Hashem B'Kadosh Yisrael V'Azmanim. If it's a festival, we ask Hashem, the Taher Libeinu Lovtcha B'Emes, Taher Libeinu, purify our hearts, that we should be able to serve you with truth. No conflicts of interest. Through the purification of the heart, the expungement of the evil of our heart, we'll only have one focus: to serve you with truth. Truth means no ulterior motives. It's not for us, it's because we appreciate and understand what you are and what your will is. This is a supplication we have every Shabbos and every Yom Tov. In the Amidah, before we say the Modim, the Taher Libeinu Lovtcha B'Emes, that Taher Libeinu that we're asking for, the ultimate expungement and purity of heart, that's going to take place at the coming of Mashiach. That's God will circumcise your hearts and the hearts of your children. That's what it's about. The Talmud tells us that a human being craves two things more than anything else. and it's consumed with this craving, sexual cravings, and acquisition of wealth, which justifies a person to steal. That's why people steal, and they justify things which are not appropriate. They somehow put in a context that it's okay. You should share your wealth. Or I have a right to it. I have a claim to what you have. You didn't earn it legally. You took advantage of people. Whatever way you want to interpret it or twist it and distort it. But that's only because there's such a desire, because money is power. Man is driven by power, is attracted to power. The sexual drive is innate in every person. It has to be curbed. It has to be tempered. It has to be directed. That's what it is. Now, when the heart lusts many things, if a person isn't into collecting antiques, and he has the means, wealthy person, he likes, and he has the ability, and he appreciates antiques, what does he do? He calls an antique dealer, and he says, look, this is what I'm looking for. And the antique dealer, having an understanding of what is and what's not in terms of value and time period, that antique dealer will seek out what the client is looking for, or anything. So what is the antique dealer? The antique dealer becomes a broker, the broker of the client. So the Talmud tells us, the Midrash tells us, who are the brokers of the heart? The heart lusts. Who seeks out what the heart lusts? One's eyes. The eyes are the broker of the heart. That seeks out what the heart lusts. The heart seeks sex. The eye is attracted to the opposite sex, women, attractive, whatever it is, or information which discusses that. A person is consumed with wealth. The eye seek out deals. Sometimes it reaches a level of greed. He sees somebody else have something, he's envious. Because the eyes see things someone else, and the person feels he should have what the other person has. So the eye is always seeking what the heart lusts. If you have no interest, it's not a problem. The eye doesn't look there. You pass by people who are tremendously wealthy. If that's not what you're all about, you're not touched by it. You're not fazed by it. You don't even notice it. It's irrelevant. It's like people approach you and say, you know what I'm worth? You know what kind of check I could write? I would say to that person, could you tell me what relevance does it have to me? What kind of check you could write, what you're worth? There's no relevance to me. You know, I have more important things to hear about than what to think about. Also, the guy's taken about. Everybody's excited when he tells me what kind of check he could write and what he's worth. If you can tell me what kind of charity you're going to give and what you're going to do for humanity in a positive way, that's impressive. But to tell me how much money you have and what you could do, but you don't do, so what's the value of sharing that information with me? Has no value. I'm not impressed. But a person who's looking to be associated with that kind of person, he's looking for this. This man made his day. He said good morning to him. He was Rockefeller's shoeshine boy, and Rockefeller used to throw him $50 every day when he shined his shoes. In 1912, could you imagine? The magnet, this and that. He's excited. He still has that. He passed down that $50 to his great-grandson. They never actually used it. Rockefeller was a smart guy. May have been a counterfeit slug, may have been a slug because he knew the shoeshine boy would never actually spend it. That's how people are caught up in wanting to be associated with these kinds of people, because the eye is looking. People want acknowledgement. You want acknowledgement. What do you want acknowledgement? Because you're not humble. If you're humble, you don't look for acknowledgement. You look for something of greater value. So the eyes are the brokers of the heart. Okay? We read in last week's reading that the test of Lech Lecha, go from the land, go to the land I will show you. There you will have become a great people. You'll be wealthy, and you'll have renown. Okay? But one of the things he says, Agad l'shmech, I will make your name greater. What does that mean? Initially, Avram's name was Avram. Avram. After he was circumcised, he became Avraham. Hashem added a hey to his name. It's Avram plus hey. So therefore, it's Abraham. Before it was Abram, it became Abraham. That's the meaning. I will enlarge your name with the hay. So Rashi cites the Midrash. Why the hay? Because until Avram was circumcised, he had control over every part of his body, except 5 parts of his body he did not have. What were they? His eyes, his ears, and his sexual organ. When he became circumcised, he had full control of every aspect of his body. And the numerical value of Avraham, numerically, is Ramach 248, which is the number of the totality of a person's limbs. So when did he become the complete person, totally in control of every aspect of his being? When he became circumcised. Therefore, I will add the hey to your name, and then you become Ramach. That's why the hey. Now the question is, why until he was circumcised did he not have full control of every part of his body? Now let's talk. We've spoken about this many times. What exactly was the circumcision? What is its innate value for a Jew? There's a question which is asked. Avram kept the whole Torah its entirety before it was given. Even rabbinic laws. But yet, he wasn't circumcised till he was 99 years old. Why didn't he fulfill that mitzvah of circumcision before he was commanded to circumcise himself? He kept Shabbos, he did tzitzis, he did tefillin, did everything. But circumcision not. Why not? He kept the whole Torah its entirety before it was given. He should have done circumcision. That's a question which is asked. Now, what is the law if a non-Jew circumcises himself? Is he classified as a circumcised person within a halach context, or he's still considered an orel, an uncircumcised person? So the Mishnah tells us that a non-Jew, even if he's circumcised, it's purely cosmetic. It's external. It doesn't in any way affect his status as the spirituality of the non-Jew. For instance, I'll give you an example. A man has phenomenal looks, genes that his children are beautiful. There's a woman, and she was born ugly as sin. She was a wealthy woman. She found a plastic surgeon. Today, she's the most beautiful woman who walks the face of the earth. And this man wants to have beautiful children. So he does his research. At first, before that, he has an interest in marrying this woman. He'll have the most beautiful children. Then he finds out that all this is all cosmetic. And if he marries this woman, he has a good chance. If they take after the genes of the wife, his kids are going to be as ugly as sin. This is all cosmetic. The essence of that person, the genes, the genealogy is ugly as sin. You can't look at her. He doesn't want to have those kinds of children. The non-Jew, when he circumcises himself, it doesn't impact at all on the essence of his spirituality. When Avram was given the mitzvah of circumcision at the age of 99, due to all that he had done, he had met the 10 tests, and he advanced his spirituality. He was ready now. God says, I will give you a procedure that will minimize the effect of the tree of knowledge. Now you're going to be able to take control of your life. Until now, because you weren't sufficiently developed spiritually, you didn't have full control. Therefore, even if you were to circumcise yourself, it would have been purely an external act. It wouldn't have affected you internally. But now that you're at this special level, I will give you a mitzvah, which will make a difference in what kind of being you're going to be. You're going to become more of a spiritual being. You'll be able to dictate your life. There's not going to be any part of your life that you're not going to have control over. Meaning your heart will not lust any longer at that overwhelming level as it lusted before. It's going to be minimized because you're going to have a natural sense of spirituality, which will distract you from all that other evil, which is represented in the world. As a result of that, when Avram became circumcised, he became Ramach. Now he's in a position, his choices, he could take full control of his life. Because now what did the eyes broker? What they broker, they're not brokering something which he's at a point now which he really has no interest in. So once he became circumcised, 5 parts of his body became impacted. His 2 eyes, his 2 ears, and his sexual organ. He no longer craved for the sex. As a result of that, what did the eyes look for? They don't broker that any longer. Of course, there's temptation, but it's temptation within reason that you can take control. We hear things to be able to get ahead, to do many things. The eyes are not brokering that any longer because the heart no longer craves for all that which is not acceptable, which reflects something very badly on the person. It reflects the evil of the tree of knowledge. The reason why the Jew was given Tayag mitzvos, 613 mitzvos, commandments, 365 negative, and 248 positive commandments. Because the Jew is in a position, together with circumcision and being exposed at Sinai to God's presence, we're in a position, of course, we have choice. We have choice at every level of our existence. But that we're given that choice because it's within our ability that if we choose to take an issue, we could make the proper choice. The non-Jew who does not descend from Avram, his spirituality is a total different spirituality. He has a different soul. His soul hasn't been advanced. As a result of that, these areas that a Jew is obligated to maintain and keep and preserve and advance, the non-Jew doesn't have that ability. It's not within his realm of choice. A choice, as I said, is only a choice if you're able to succeed. But if it's something beyond your ability, that's not a choice. For the non-Jew, to give him obligations which he can't address because he doesn't have the capacity to address those things. He doesn't have those sensitivities because his spirituality was never developed. As a result of that, he was never given those commandments. The only commandments he was given were the 7 Noahide laws. Though they're all don'ts. Don't do this, don't do that. Don't murder. Don't blaspheme God. Don't become an idolater. Don't commit adultery. But anything on a much more sophisticated level. Time. You're limited by time. As a Jew, is limited very much. Our lives are dictated by time. A weekday, Shabbos. When does the day begin? When does the day end? For a non-Jew, it's all totally irrelevant. What we eat, what we ingest. A Jew, there are dietary laws. For a non-Jew, there are no dietary laws. Because for the Jew, it makes a difference what we eat and what we don't eat. Because that spiritualizes us. It can either actually advance us or it actually could take us down. Because it's not in sync with our spirituality, the non-kosher species. And even as a kosher species, if it's not ritually slaughtered, it also, and it's not even if it's ritual slaughtered, the blood is not extracted. If it's not deveined as it should be deveined, it compromises the Jew spirituality. It begins shutting down the systems, the spiritual systems. So therefore, the eyes, we say in the 3rd paragraph of the Shema, Lo sasuru achrei levavchem, v'achrei einechem asher atem zonim achreim. That's the 3rd paragraph of the Shema. You should not veer after your hearts. Lo sasuru achrei levavchem, achrei einechem, after your eyes. which you go after. So the Talmud says, what's lo surah levavchem zeminus? That's heresy. A person has a reason to deny God's existence, because if you deny God's existence, what are you? You're a free agent to do as you please. If there's a God, there's a conscience. Because you understand there are ramifications, the consequences of your behavior. There's accountability. But if there is no God, there's no accountability. Everything's random. So the negative command, don't allow your heart, don't go after your heart. The heart itself has an inkling, an inclination to go where? Zeminus, read works of heresy. A Jew is not permitted to read heretical works, because being touched by heretical works, engaging in that, it blunts and actually distorts and blurs God's existence. And as a result of that, you have less conscience. You have a less sense of accountability. Therefore, we don't go there. Don't veer after your eyes to see things which are attractive, which attract you to things which you shouldn't be attracted to. Whether it's visual, whether it's reading material, any of this. Do not go after your eyes. Asher atem zonim achreim. That's idolatry. There are many positions of their idolatry. You say the billions of people in this world, the majority are idolaters, are pagans. The Chinese, the Indians, all these various nations, they don't believe in monotheism. Like the Muslim or even the Christian, he believes in God, but there's whatever there are other people have input, but they call it the Trinity. But the other nations, they're true pagans. The holy cow. The American Indian, they were pagans. They worshiped the sun, they worshiped the water, they worshiped the deer, whoever they worshiped. But that's paganism. So you read enough of it, you say, if billions of people are doing it, am I right and they're wrong? Something. Once you get exposed and you allow yourself, exposure creates acclimation. Acclimation causes, as the Rambam says, there's no creature in this world that is more influenced by environment than the human being. You expose yourself to an environment which is not in sync with who you should be, you're going to be impacted. And if it's negative, you're going to be impacted negatively. It's positive, you'll be impacted positively. Therefore, the Torah says, don't go after your eyes, after your heart, your eyes, asher atem zonim, any of these areas. But it's again the eyes. And it all stems from the heart. The heart lust, the eyes seek are the brokers of the heart. And that's what it's all about. That's why we have to be so careful what we read, what we look at.